welcome to Hey DFW with Erin J. I hope everybody is safe and doing well. Um, Happy Sunday. So, before we get into my show, I wanted to give a shout out to the sponsor. Our sponsor for today's show is Specs Custom Writing Services. Specs is a boutique writing agency that specializes in resumes, cover letters, and thank you letters. Schedule your free consultation today at specswriting.com and follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Specs Writing. That's SPECS Writing, WRITNIG. Okay. All right. So, my guest today, her name is Tricia Sitemere. Did I hear that right?
Yes.
All right, great. You guys, she is the founder of Control Alt Delete, a personal and professional development firm based here in McKinney, Texas, but serving the world. So she's good for everybody. Anybody can get these services, you guys. So Control Alt Delete stands for take control of your future, alter your mindset, and delete all doubt. Don't you love that? Through Control Alt Delete, Tricia guides you through the mindset shifts and habit adjustments needed to push through the barriers preventing you from living the life you deserve. Everybody say hey.
Hi.
Okay, so thank you so much for coming on my show today. I
Thank you for
really
having
love your
me.
brand. With the first question, can you tell me a little bit about yourself and talk about your background?
Yes. So, like you said, my name is Tricia Sitemere of triciasitemere.com. I have been building Control Alt Delete for going on 4 years. And my background is in HR, so university recruiting, talent acquisition, and diversity and inclusion strategy. And I was in that space for a little over 10 years. And in working with my candidates, saw that they were anxious or not confident about the decisions that they were making around their career and how to navigate their career. At the very same time, I was having conversations with my girlfriends who at this point are mid-career, right, and are feeling the frustrations of not being fully utilized, really tapping into their talents and using all of their potential. So they're frustrated. And so I took both of those conversations and the insights that I was seeing and published a book. And then my book is called I'm Sick of This Shit. And it just kind of blew up from there. So people started reaching out to me to support them in terms of resume, because that's also in my background, interviewing, how to effectively network on LinkedIn, how to have the conversations, when they are looking for career transitions and really exploring, what their next steps are going to be in life. So, from there, started doing different speaking engagements in the personal development and wellness space, and then supporting my clients one-on-one from a coaching perspective. And then I just recently launched my 8-week group coaching program, People Empower, which is based in community, right?
Right.
We can raise the water line together and share resources, share experiences that help us move the needle to accomplishing the things that we want to.
All right, I like it. I love it. Can you explain how you developed the Control Alt Delete and what was the mindset behind it? Because it was just it's so relatable.
Yeah.
And even when I read the basically the explanation of it, it's just it it pretty much hits home and it's positive and it's easy to remember. So I really love that when I always just think of like brands and strategy. So how did you just you came up with that?
Well, I have to give credit where credit is due. My husband actually helped me put that together. So I explored a lot of different names for what I wanted to communicate and translate with my brand that I was building, which has ebbed and flowed and changed, over the last couple of years. And, we were having a conversation around computers or something along those lines. And he was like, well, what about Control Alt Delete? Because I was talking a lot about mindset, talking about, putting plans in action, how to get over self doubt. And he was just casually was like, well, what about Control Alt Delete? He was like, that's really what you're wanting to do anyway. And we played around with it for a little bit, and then Control Alt Delete was born. But yeah, I agree that it perfectly captures, what I do. It is a personal mantra of mine, and it's really the approach that I take when I am supporting one-on-one clients, when I'm, building out my programs and really what I want to bring to the table and how I want to serve people. That control piece is so key because a lot of times people think that things are only happening to them, right? They don't have any control over anything, and they're just kind of blowing in the wind and just kind of going through the motions. And then mindset is so key because, if you don't think that you can do something and it's not in your mindset that you can change, that you can be successful, that you can build and have the life that you want, you're going to, remain in this space that you ultimately don't want to do. And so if you can, grapple with taking control and you can do the mindset work to where you feel more positive, then that translates into helping you delete all doubt. Like if you have that self-confidence in yourself, in your abilities, in your talents, and what you have to offer and what you bring to the table, and you put that all together, you can make the strides, you can get the momentum so that you start to see the changes in your life that you want to.
I love it. I love it. So I saw your website. You describe yourself as a fulfillment coach, which I love. So can you tell me what that entails? And just for outside people, when they think of a fulfillment coach, what is that about?
Yeah. So, I think everything that I do is to help people get into the space where they are able to live in fulfillment today. So a lot of folks think, they have to work or they have to live this kind of life, and then only well into the future are they able really to live in that fulfillment. But I don't think that's true. I think that you can do a lot of things and structure your time in ways where you can live in fulfillment today. And so when you think of things that bring you fulfillment, career is a big one, right? How you spend your time, who you're spending your time with, what you're spending your time on. Those are all encapsulated in living in fulfillment. And so I'm not necessarily just a life coach. I don't focus on relationship. Therapists usually focus on past or previous traumas, things that have happened in the past, but I specifically focus on building your future, taking control of your future, right? And so that's why I am different than just a regular life coach, because that's specifically the niche that I focus on.
Okay. Yeah. And that's a perfect segue to my next question. Because I have here, I was looking on your Instagram and I saw that there was a difference between, coaching and therapy. And you just touched on it here. Mm-hmm. But can you take a deeper dive for those people who may think, do I need therapy or do I need coaching?
Yeah. That's a really good question, and it's a question that I get pretty often. So, as I said, I focus on the future, right? Things that have already happened. There's not really very much that we can do to change our circumstance, that we can change our background, we can change things that have happened to us. A therapist is going to help you, unpack some of that trauma. If there is, any kind of mental illness or things like that that need to be addressed, a therapist will be able to do that. That would include, any kind of prescription or any kind of long-term care versus, what I do in coaching. Like, it's not my idea or intention for anybody to need to be with me for forever, right? I want you to work with me for us to, do the self-awareness, self-assessment, so that you have a baseline and you have a clear understanding of where you want to go, right? Mm-hmm. You're not going to get in your car if you don't know where you're going, because you can't plan for the trip. And so that's kind of what how it translates when you work with me. Is like, we focus on where you're going, where are your areas of opportunity, where are your strengths, where are unique things that you can bring to the table so that you're able to move the needle closer to the type of life that you want and to live in greater fulfillment. So
I like it. Yeah. All right. So what is your ideal client? What, for someone, they're mid-career, beginning career, what would be the ideal client or someone who may need your services?
Yeah. Yeah. So I work in two primary buckets because I come from the university recruiting space. I have a lot of folks that are just graduating, either from undergrad or just getting a master's and MBA, and really need to recalibrate and wrap their arms around, what their next steps are, what are their options, what is out there for them. And sometimes, with limited scope, you feel like, hey, I'm coming out of this degree. These are the only opportunities that are available to me. And that's, in reality, just not the case. And so I work with a lot of new graduates who, haven't gone through a lot of extensive interview processes, who are not familiar with how to negotiate a salary, what types of conversations they may need to be having with their new manager or their teams in order to keep a focus on their personal development, right? You have a manager and they're there to manage you, they're there to give you instruction, and they are there to support you from a personal and professional development standpoint. But at the end of the day, it doesn't solely lie on your manager. There needs to be some personal accountability there. And so I have a lot of conversations with my new grad folks in terms of that. And then I also have my mid-career, mostly women, but I do service some men. And they're folks that they've done well for themselves. They've been successful. They've seen strides in their careers, but they're really looking to pivot. They're really looking to translate. And sometimes that means, just giving themselves permission to explore other things because, you get to mid-career and now you have, family, you have spouses, those types of things, more responsibility that you have to kind of navigate around. And so I have a lot of conversations around, giving yourself permission to do that, giving yourself permission to, make the shift, make the change, explore something new. Sometimes that means taking a step back. Which sometimes people are uncomfortable with, especially if they have spent so much of their time, trying to get to certain benchmarks or milestones in their careers, and they're not sure how to do that. And so being able to talk about their experience in their previous career and how to translate that to apples instead of apples to oranges, and going through the process of, interviewing and exploring a new industry and making sure that they're able to show up as their best selves and be confident in those conversations. And then I also, I say that I focus on the minutia, right? Lots of people set goals. They have clarity in terms of what they want. But if you're not focusing on some of those smaller details, you'll find yourself frustrated in, why the progress is not there that you want. So things like procrastination. I spent a lot of time talking about procrastination and how you work through what those procrastination challenges are. And sometimes people don't even realize, oh, I didn't know that was a part of procrastination. And so it's, sometimes just small things that you can change. Personal accountability, imposter syndrome, negative self-talk. We talked about the mindset piece. So those are the conversations that I have a lot of the times with my mid-career folks.
So, you know what? We were talking about imposter syndrome. How do you define it? Because is it basically, you're someone else in the office and you're somewhere outside of the office? Because I often get it confused a little bit.
Yeah. So the easiest way to explain imposter syndrome is, you work hard, you have talents, you are qualified. But because of the narrative that you tell yourself, you discount that. Oh, I'm only being promoted because they want a woman. Or, oh, the person that they really wanted for this role wasn't available, so that's why I'm in this position now. And so it is, this fear that I'm not actually supposed to be where I am. I actually don't deserve, the opportunities or the position that I'm in because I'm not supposed to be here. And so you have this fear in the back of your head, like, I'm going to be found out as this fraud, as this imposter, and this, opportunity is going to be taken away from me.
Okay. Very well said. All right. So, how do you help like a potential client, a client reach their full potential? And do you have a success story that you would like to share?
Yeah. Well, luckily I have lots of success.
Lots of them.
Lots of success stories. But the way that every interaction with me starts is with a discovery call. I know that I can't help everyone, right? So we talked about the difference between needing therapy versus coaching. So in the discovery call, we will do a deep dive into what are your challenges? What exactly are you wanting to change? What does ideal look like for you? What is the timeline that you want to have this happen? We talk a lot about commitment and readiness, right? Because you can pay me all the money in the world and I can give you my framework. I can be there to support you, encourage, and motivate. But if you're not ready to take the steps and be serious about driving the change that you want to see, then you'll always say, oh, Tricia didn't help me because you weren't doing the work, you know? So if we're meeting once a week, of course we can focus on what we need to focus on while we're together in that hour, but I'm only with you for that hour. So it's your responsibility to be able to take the things that we talk about, implement, continue to do research, continue to have conversations, continue to do that self-assessment, so that we can build on that with every session, with every interaction that we have. In terms of success stories, so I had one client. She was having some frustrations at work. She wanted a promotion, and it just didn't seem like it was going to be in the cards for her. She had been with this company for a while, and so the loyalties were there, the relationships was there, being comfortable in this work environment, that comfort aspect was there, and we just had a conversation. This was over multiple sessions. Obviously, this is the truncated version, on what if you explored other opportunities? What are some other interests that you have that you can tap into? So, I had her have some conversations, do some networking, kind of do that self-assessment to find out, what other things that she might be interested in. And so then, we start reaching out to people. She starts putting in her resumes, and she actually ended up changing careers into a different space than where she was before. And she's rocking and rolling. We still, we're not meeting as often, obviously, because her goal was to work out what she needed in the career space, and we've done that. And so now we're in what I would call a maintenance cadence. And so we meet every other month. We talk about, how are you communicating things in your role to make sure that you're still getting the things that you need so you don't find yourself feeling stagnant. How do you have conversations with your manager around what are new things that you want to try? What are new skills that you want to learn so that you are continuing, your own personal and professional development journey.
Okay, I like it. So, speaking of loyalties,
Yeah.
and this has been just a conversation amongst me and my group, and so with my parents and just the generation before us, you work, get the job at the factory, the post office, that's it.
And you retire.
You're great.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. And then my group, it's a bit, you stay a few years, you move around, you move up, things of that sort, but you most so still in the same fields. But with millennials, it's like, I'm not happy, I'm leaving. Do you feel like, what is the difference with them and our generation? And are they, is there, I'm not going to say lack of loyalty, but what is it that you think that lessens their commitment? We'll say that to a company.
Yeah. I think that this new generation of work, they are empowered to make decisions based on themselves, what they bring to the table, what the company has to offer them in terms of growth, career trajectory, and things like that. When you're looking at a company, a lot of companies have like social and corporate responsibility. As a millennial or a younger professional, they want to see what the company is contributing to society outside of just a job, outside of just a paycheck, outside of, just personal and professional development. They want to know that they are active in their community. They want to know that they care about them as employees. Like, you're not just going to, have me be a workhorse. They want to know that their company supports them in terms of work-life balance. And a lot of them have said, I'm not going to just stay here and work myself into the ground, because there are options, not just within corporate roles, but you see, organic opportunities being bloomed from everywhere, right? YouTube, social media influencers, and the jobs that, just the social media arena has created: social media management, social media strategy, brand strategists, things like that. So there's so many options, and I like that, because they do remain active participants in their own lives. If you identify that you are in a toxic work environment, it doesn't just stay at work. You carry that around. Stress is a real thing. How it creeps into relationships, with your spouse or your family or your friends. It's not just you punch the clock and then you leave. People, they don't want to be in that space, and there's options, and I applaud that. I think, especially in my work as a fulfillment coach, you should go after the things that you are passionate about and the type of life that you desire. And if they're willing to, put in the work, have the conversations, find those opportunities, create those opportunities for themselves, then I think they should go after it. It doesn't make any sense for you to work yourself into a grave, especially for a situation that you're not going to be happy with, and that's not going to give you the fulfillment that we all deserve.
Right. Do you think it puts companies on notice? Because it seems like too, like, companies are like, they're more like, okay, I recently went over, it may have been last year, a Gallup survey where companies are like competing now, and saying, okay, these are the benefits we have. With more benefits, we're allowing you to work remotely and things of that sort, to basically recruit better candidates and employee retention.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Yes, it is a competitive landscape in terms of attracting and retaining the best and brightest talent. Like, that's just where it is. That's why the social and corporate responsibility, that's why their roles exist, right? So that they can make sure that these companies are visible in the public eye. It's you got to compete. You have to come to the table with something.
Right. Okay. Through your experience, what is the most common struggle that people have when they come to you? What is that one thing that you're just seeing over and over and over and over again?
Lack of clarity.
Okay.
Lack of clarity. It's really interesting because people say, okay, this is what I think I want. And then when you start to dig a little bit deeper, or you start to explore what are the trade-offs, or what this exactly means, or what are the steps in order to get to XYZ, then they're like, oh, well, that's not exactly what it is that I want. Or this looks different, or it feels different from the vision that I had in my head. And so we'll dive into that so that we can get clear, because we can't move towards something that we don't know. So an example that I will give is folks that want to work in the nonprofit space. So some nonprofit jobs, they're not putting out necessarily the same numbers as corporate jobs are. And I love the passion that people have that want to go into the nonprofit space, but sometimes that means smaller salaries. Sometimes that means, that the benefits package is a little bit different. And sometimes once, you put all those things on the table and you start really talking through what that means for their day-to-day, how they live their life, they're like, oh, no, actually, that's not exactly, I can't skimp on this part for something else. And so that's just a brief example, but a lot of the times it is clarity.
Okay. All right. Makes sense. So, have you heard about the Great Resignation yet?
I have.
Okay, so we don't have to play the clip. I had a clip. I said if she hasn't, we can replay the clip. So, according to NBC, Roland Martin, since May of this year, 3.6 million Americans have quit their jobs, which is known as the Great Resignation. What is your take on this?
I mean, I think people should be happy, you know? I have been in roles where I was unhappy and I thought that I didn't have a choice to find something different. You know, or you tell yourself, oh, this is a temporary situation and it will get better. But then month after month after month, you find yourself still unhappy. And people are, you know, sick of the shit and they see that there are options, that there are opportunities, and they're taking control of their lives and making a decision that's going to best serve them and their families. Now, I don't think that, you know, you should come back from lunch and say, I'm out of here. This is trash. I'm done. Right. You know, I'm all for being well-researched, you know, being strategic and having a plan, you know, so that you don't spiral out of control with, you know, regret saying, oh my God, I left and what am I going to do now? You know, all of those things are very real things. But I think that if you are in a situation that is not serving you and you're unhappy, it's seeping into other places in your life, then it's time to make a change. You know, it's no different than being in an unhealthy relationship, right? If you had a girlfriend who was not being treated right by old dude, you would say maybe it's time to move around and start, you know, recalibrating things. I don't think it's any different.
Okay. All right. So, how can you help clients with, you know, career transitions? You touched on it, but you talked about some people going to different spaces. So what if they wanted to do something completely different than what they've gone to school for or trained for?
Yeah.
How do you, you know, work through that?
Yeah. So, you know, if you are doing something that you are interested in at work, it feels a little less like work. And so if someone comes to me and let's say they're in finance, they absolutely hate it, they never want to look at another number again, you know, we would start by trying to find out, okay, what is it that you are excited about? What are some of the things that you are interested in? What are some things that maybe you used to really love before and, you know, life happens and you don't do those things anymore to see what your options are. Like I am definitely one of those people. I prefer people to have options so that they don't feel like their back is against the wall and they just have to blindly accept what is being given to them. Like we have those situations, but you know, if I can put you in a position where you have options, that is the course that I much rather would take. So we would, you know, find out what are some of your past interests, your past talents, your past hobbies, and see where that translates into career options. And then we would map out what that means in order to position yourself in the best place possible in order to pursue those. So whether that is, I have a lot of people that come to me who are interested in transitioning into tech. So there's boot camps, there are different LinkedIn certifications, there are different Facebook groups where people are having these conversations around how, you know, what kind of skills, what kind of things that these employers are looking for, in addition to, you know, my insights working in different industries. So we would start there and then we would, you know, map it out. Sometimes that means, you know, having conversations with folks that are in roles that you think that you're interested in, but maybe you don't know much about it, right? So you would start doing your research so that you can make a confident decision for yourself. And so we would just map it out and take things, step by step, one foot in front of the other, until you're able to make the progress that you want.
Okay, sounds like a plan. So, got your book on here. And that book. I'm sick of this shit. What made you write this? Like when you got down and just said, I'm gonna write this book.
Yeah. So the book, it's an interactive workbook. It takes you through a lot of interpersonal conversations that you can have with yourself to help you get to a place of more clarity. And then once you get to a place of clarity, what are the steps that you need to take to get into action and stay in action? So there's an acronym, action, that breaks down, what the process is. So A, for example, is to ask questions. You don't know what you don't know, and you want to be able to make an informed decision. So that's really what the book is about. And when it comes to the title of the book, if people are mildly annoyed or slightly irritated, you're less likely to make a change. But when you get to the point where you're like, I'm sick of this shit. Like,
yeah.
let's go. Like, what do we need to
Yeah.
do? I'm ready. I'm ready to take the steps. I'm ready to see something be different because I don't want to be in the same space that I was in before. And, it's something that resonates with people. Everyone has said at some point or another in some form or fashion that I'm sick of this shit.
Right.
And, that's been a lot of the response that I've gotten from the book. Has just really helped people think about their circumstances differently, right? Think about, what their circumstances are, who is surrounding them. There's a chapter in the book about your supporting cast, which is basically the people in your life that support you, your friends, family, coworkers, mentors, all of those things. That's important to supporting you as you're making a change or moving towards accomplishing your goals. Those things are important. So all of those things are covered in the book, but it's basically for someone who is at the point where they're like, I am sick of this shit and I am ready to do something. If you're not sure where to start, what conversations you should be having, what you should be thinking about, how do you even get the conversation going, then I'm sick of this shit is a really, really good place to start.
Okay. It's on her website, you guys. Triciasitemere.com.
Yeah, that's it.
You also, I saw you had a planner. It's for 2021. Are you going to have one for 2022?
I am tinkering. I've been going back and forth. So the Control Alt Delete 2021 planner and journal was my first product that I released in that space. And it is part planner, how to set goals, how to help you plan, your day-to-day, your weeks. And then there's also part journal. I'm really, really big on writing down your ideas, writing down your thoughts, writing down, things that you experience, trial and error, all of those things for a lot of reasons. One, just freeing up the mental capacity, mental space. Two, it's really, really cool to be able to go back and look at things that you've written down, ideas, dreams, visions, things that you said that you wanted for your life. So I'm always constantly encouraging people to write and to journal their lives, as well as keeping track of things that they're grateful for and expressing gratitude. So the feedback that I got was split. So for me, I'm torn. A lot of people really, really liked the guided planner aspect. And a lot of people just really liked being able to have a space to journal. So I have a sample right now, and it's just a journal. So people can just kind of write and keep track of things. So to be announced.
Okay, it's coming.
I personally like the guided planner. I'm a planner girl myself, but I also really love the journaling. So I'll be making a decision here soon. So you guys should make sure you are keeping up with me on my website.
All right. Okay. So All right, good. We're making good time. So I have a game at the end of the show.
Okay.
It is called Hey DFW's Top 5. So it's pretty much just like, 20 questions, but it's 5. Just small little
Okay.
personal questions about you that people probably, for me, as a consumer, I always like to know the person.
Yes.
It's like, oh, well, she, I lean more towards people that are from Alabama that went to college with me, because it's like, oh, well, she's from Alabama, so I'm gonna, go to her website or XYZ. So, are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's go.
All right. So, number 1, well, you did touch on it already. So I had the question was, who gets more coaching, men or women? And you said it's mostly women. But why do you think? Why do men? I feel like men also need to get coaching.
Yes.
Why? What is it?
I agree. I have a coach. Coaches need coaches.
Yeah.
It's definitely something that I support. And I'm sure they are being coached in terms of, who my clientele is. It is mostly women. I would say in the coaching space altogether, you have to come to it with a certain level of vulnerability, to say, hey, I have, spaces in my life that I want to work on. Sometimes people are afraid to take that step, which, I definitely understand, which is why I touched on the readiness aspect of it. So, I hope the men out there are getting the coaching that they need. But as in terms of Control Alt Delete, most of my folks are women.
Man, you guys need coaching.
You need coaching.
Put your pride aside. So, how do you, or how would you tell someone to handle rejection? Because in the, interviews, the resumes, and just like the job search, the hunt, people, get rejected and they can get discouraged.
Yeah.
What do you tell them? How do you tell them to handle that?
Yeah. So it's very interesting. My next book is centered around failure and fear of failure and what that means, and the idea of failing. Which, a lot of people will couple failing with rejection. I didn't get the job. I failed at the interview. All the negative self-talk that comes down the road from that. I think anytime where something doesn't work out the way that we want to, there are always opportunities to learn. There's nuggets of information that are there. So, it's disappointing. I encourage people to feel how they feel. Like, no one should tell you, this didn't work out, suck it up, move on. I don't think that's right. So definitely, if that means sitting with your feelings for a while, you should absolutely do that. But then shake yourself off and try to find, what were the learning opportunities from that rejection or from that failure that you can use the next time you go to try something new or to interview with someone else. And then, when it comes specifically to rejections in terms of applying for jobs, sometimes it's not even really about you. And that's a hard pill to swallow, Sometimes the decision to not move forward with you sometimes doesn't have anything to do with you at all. And I know that because I was in hiring for such a long time. Sometimes it means somebody else's skill set was just better aligned for the role. Or sometimes when people are applying to jobs, specifically my Black women, they want to apply to a job where they are 100% a match for the job description. And sometimes it's up to the hiring manager to say, hey, these are the things that we want to bring to the table, but this other person's experience would blend really well with my team, or it brings a new skill set to the table that, I'm interested in seeing how that does for my team. As a hiring manager, they have the power to make that decision. And so sometimes it's not about you at all. That doesn't take away from your greatness. It doesn't take away from your talent. It doesn't take away to what you can bring to a table. And you shouldn't, feel like you're any less than. Applying for jobs is a journey on its own. And so you have to be a little bit thick-skinned and just be willing and open to taking whatever nuggets of information that you're able to find from that experience and continue to move forward.
All right. I heard that right. All right. It's gonna be a clip. Okay. So, what is it that you like to eat that no one else likes?
Oh my God. What do I like to eat that nobody else likes? I mean, that's a hard one. I feel like I eat pretty normal things. I really like smoked salmon.
Okay.
I really like poached eggs, like eggs Benedict.
Yeah.
I would say every single time that, I'm out somewhere and I'm ordering something and I get excited because they have eggs Benedict on the menu, people turn their nose up and be like, oh, they don't like the runny egg. And I think it's fantastic.
I love it. I tried to make one in the microwave. It was a fail.
Oh, I make them at home all the time.
I don't know how to make them yet.
We'll talk offline.
Okay, because I love them. How do you, because you're taking care of everybody else, how do you practice self-care?
Ooh, like I said, I try to be very intentional about expressing gratitude for people, places, spaces, and just the position that I'm in my life. I'm a full-time entrepreneur. I left the corporate world in January, and that has been an experience on its own. And so, while it has its challenges, being grateful in a position that I'm able to pursue this, and I'm able to do so with the support of so many people that I love. My husband is a godsend, and he's just absolutely fantastic. So journaling, I'm also a sucker for a good massage. I love getting massages, so I'll try to do those. I'm also a certified yoga instructor.
Cool.
And so,
that is so cool.
yeah, I do my meditations, my affirmations. I love a good stretch.
Yeah.
And, when I was in corporate America, I was always in a hurry to get started in the day. You wake up, the alarm goes off. Where is my stuff? Where are my keys? Where's the phone? All of those things. And I am grateful that I don't have to wake up in a rush anymore. If I want to, have a cup of coffee and sit on my patio or sit in the bed and just kind of have that time before I jump into my day that is filled with, all kinds of stuff, then I can do that. I also, I spend time with my friends and family. I see a therapist. I have, my own coach, that I can vent to and talk through things, brainstorm, just kind of get some of the crazy ideas that are in my head out of my head. So that's some of the things that I do.
Those are good things, though. Yeah. They're very good things. I'm definitely thinking about getting a therapist. I've started doing a lot more self-care routines outside the regular manicure and pedicure with like facials and stuff. And like my Sundays, it's just very slow. I make sure everything is just very slow.
Taking it easy.
And it's just really good. I feel rejuvenated and revived.
Yeah.
I love it. The last question is, what is your favorite romantic comedy or just all-time movie classic?
Oh my goodness. Okay. Put me on the spot here. Let's see. Oh my goodness. So I don't watch TV.
Okay.
And I used to watch a lot of movies. Well, I do watch movies. I love The Little Mermaid.
Oh, yes.
I think that's the cutest movie. Poetic Justice I really love.
Okay.
Let's see. The Notebook is up there. There's this other movie that I really like. What is it called? The Wedding Date is really cute. So I would say some of those.
Okay.
In terms of romantic comedies, in terms of just in general, Eddie Murphy's Delirious. Don't get me reciting lines.
Yeah, that was funny.
That's one of my favorite movies. So there's a couple of them.
All right. All right. So, can you tell? I have her website too. You can put that up. Can you tell everybody where to find you on all your social media handles?
Yes. So you can obviously find me on my website, triciasitemere.com. I'm also on Instagram and LinkedIn at the same name, Tricia Sitemere. I spend most of my efforts and energies on Instagram and LinkedIn, but I'm also on Facebook at the Tricia Sitemere. My YouTube is also the same, Tricia Sitemere, but the easiest way to get to all of those is to go to my website, triciasitemere.com.
Okay, you guys, you make sure you follow her and support her. And guys, get some coaching. Get some coaching.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in to my show today. Make sure you follow me on all my social media platforms at heydfw. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.